If you plan on publishing your book on Amazon KDP, then you need to know the downsides of using it just as much as you know the benefits of that platform. Let's talk about it. I already have a video up on my channel talking about what Amazon KDP is and the benefits of it. But something I really didn't get to focus on in that video that I want to take the time today to talk about with you are the downsides of using Amazon KDP. Amazon, like everything in the world, isn't perfect. So the platform itself, while it gives you a lot of great opportunities, there are some fine details there that people don't usually talk about until it affects you negatively that I think you should know about from the very beginning of your publishing journey to make sure that you are well aware before you actually publish your book on Amazon KDP. Now, the first thing that I think everyone should know about when it comes to publishing their book on Amazon KDP are how they deal out their royalties. If you're not familiar with what the term royalty means, it basically is the amount of money that a publisher gives to an author for the right for them to publish their book for them. Having a publisher that gives you royalties is usually a good thing in the traditional publishing world because you sell the rights to your book in exchange for guaranteed money later down the line from them based on the sales that they are able to make from your book. But with Amazon, that works a little bit differently because typically the people publishing on Amazon KDP are those people who are self-publishing or doing hybrid publishing, which is a mixture between self-publishing and traditional publishing. And with that, Amazon is your publisher. You are giving Amazon the right to distribute and sell your book on your behalf. And because of that, they are taking a chunk of royalties from you to do all that work. So like I mentioned before, the definition of a royalty is what a publisher pays to an author to sell their book. So Amazon's royalties that they're giving you are not super high. And I bring that up because people don't mention that often. People usually talk about Amazon KDP and they give you the gravitas speech of it's a great platform, you can make a lot of money off of it. But you make a lot of money off of it if you have the quantity of sales that are coming in terms of the number of books that you're selling, because you need to sell so many books to compensate for the fact that Amazon is giving you so little money in exchange. And so what people don't know is that Amazon takes 60% of your sale for themselves. Now, when you actually look at what Amazon's doing, this number makes sense. Amazon is hosting the book on their platform. They're doing the marketing for it on their website by having it there for people to find and discover. They are doing the printing, they're doing the packaging, they're doing the shipping. They're doing so much when it comes to your book. All you've done as the author is upload it to their website, set your price, and chill and relax at home. So them having a 60% markup in terms of what they're taking makes sense because of the amount of work and effort that they're contributing. But on your side of things as the author, that means you're getting 40% of every book sold on that platform. And what does this look like in real life? Let's say I'm selling my book for $14.99. If Amazon's taking 60% of that, that means for every book sold, I'm making less than $5. Yes, Amazon is doing a lot of the heavy lifting and I'm not having to as the author, but that then means for me to make a significant profit, I need to have a high volume of books being sold on the platform because Amazon is taking so much. And if you want to dive more into how to pick the best price for your book, I have a video up on my channel already where I talk about that. And specifically, I highlight how to use the Amazon royalty calculator for those people who are using Amazon to sell their books. So that way you can calculate out a price that is good for you in light of how much money Amazon is going to take from you because of their royalties. The second downside of using Amazon KDP that I want to highlight, especially for my picture book authors out there, are how they do their hardcovers. Now, for me as a picture book author, I understand that my books are written for kids, and kids are sometimes a little heavy-handed. And so it helps to be able to have, yes, a paperback, but also a hardcover so that it's more able to withstand their grip strength. But publishing my books on Amazon, I realized that that was not going to be an option for me because to publish your book on Amazon and for it to be considered, you need to have 75 pages. Now, that may not sound like a lot for people who are doing journals or who are writing chapter books, but for picture book authors, our books are only supposed to be 32 pages. Maybe a little bit more if you're including your title page, your dedication page, your copyright page, any about the author information you want to put in the back, or if you're doing something cool like I did in terms of adding discussion questions and activities in the end of your book. But as a whole, a standard picture book in the industry is 32 pages. Even with all that stuff that I just said, even if you add that in, you're still at maybe 40 maybe 42 pages. You're nowhere near 75 pages. But as a picture book author, if you want your book to be a hardcover, it needs to be 75 pages, which is very frustrating because that's just not the format of a standard quality picture book. And so what I've often seen from authors who primarily use Amazon KDP, but who also want that hardcover option, is that they are just adding in all of these extra blank pages to their books, just so that way they can meet that 75-page minimum. As a picture book author myself, and as an author coach that helps people to bring their picture books to life, I do not recommend that you do that. I don't recommend that my clients do that, because when you are a self-published author, the number one thing that you do not want to do is draw attention to the fact that you are a self-published author. This is because when you have your book in a library, you have your book in a bookstore, or even just general, you have your book on a bookshelf. You want your book to be able to stand next to another book that is traditionally published and your ideal reader not know the difference. Because the minute they know the difference, they may perceive a difference in terms of how much they should be paying for it. They may think that because your book is self-published, that you shouldn't be charging the same price as a Simon & Schuster or a Penguin Random House. That's just a stigma that is still around in the publishing industry. And so to purposely put in blank pages in your book just to meet that hardcover, it is something that immediately draws people to, this isn't right. This doesn't really fit in. This is not how a typical book reads. And also just thinking about if you were reading a book and you flip through the pages and the first 10, 15, 20 pages are blank, you're gonna think something's wrong with that book. You're gonna think that something was wrong with the printing or different things like that, and you're gonna want a refund. And because of that, I highly recommend that people do not do that in terms of adding in extra pages just to meet that minimum. But this is a downside of Amazon KDP that we don't talk about enough. If you want your book to be a hardcover, you need to have a minimum of 75 pages, which is not realistically possible if you are doing a picture book or you're doing a book that is going to be less than 75 pages. So keeping that in mind, that's going to be a deal breaker for you, or just something for you to remember, and knowing that that's the limitation of Amazon KDP. I'm saying all this stuff, but my books are on Amazon KDP, so I don't say this as a thing to say, don't use the platform, but just understand what the platform can do and what it won't do. The next downside about using Amazon KDP that we have to talk about is the limited control that you can have over your book. Now, this is something that I emphasize a lot to the clients that I'm working with, because when it comes to uploading your book to Amazon KDP, yes, it allows your book to be discovered globally, nationwide. But what we also don't consider is that you do not own the platform of Amazon. And so while your book may be on their webpage and you may have a few good days where you are #1 bestseller and all of that good stuff in your category, there may be days where you may be at the bottom of their webpage. You can't control how visible your book is on that platform because you do not own it. You could think your book is amazing and is great, and you could have the sales to validate that it's a best-selling book or a #1 new release. But because you are not in charge of Amazon, Tuesday you can log into the website and your book is on the home screen, or at least in the first 2 pages of the search results when you type in your book topic. But on Wednesday, your book can be on page 10. On Thursday, your book may be back on page 1. On Friday, your book may be on page 2. You just don't have control in terms of how your book is showcased to your ideal customer on their webpage, unless you pay more money and utilize Amazon ads and do targeted marketing for your target customer. Now, that's just an added bonus that Amazon does for you to be able to really grab your audience in, and that's something that you might have to do regardless across the board. But what's important to know is that Amazon is not designed to sell your book in particular. It's designed to sell thousands of books. It has no preference, it has no bias, unless you've paid extra money for it to do that. So just keeping that in mind, that yes, your book can be on Amazon and it can be discovered worldwide, but you have limited control about how it's going to be discovered, when it's going to be discovered, and how it's being showcased to your ideal customer. If you made it this far in the video and you've learned some information that you didn't know before when it came to using Amazon KDP, feel free to hit that subscribe button so that way you can stay up to date on more videos coming on this channel, because that's something that I pride myself on doing here on The Author's Heartbeat, where I'm providing writing tips, publishing tips, and guidance across this whole writer's journey, so that way you don't have to walk it by yourself. Now, the last thing I want to emphasize for this video when it comes to using Amazon KDP is that using Amazon KDP does not automatically mean your book will now be in libraries or bookstores. I bring this up because not only am I your new favorite children's book author, but I am also a librarian by trade. And so something I've learned from working in my library system is that we don't typically order our books through Amazon KDP. Now, there's some things that we do order through Amazon, but because of the vendors that we use in our library system, we sometimes can't. And because of that, we have to go to platforms like an Ingram Spark, for example, to purchase our books for our libraries. And so keeping that in mind is really important, because not only are libraries like this when it comes to what vendors they can and can't use, but bookstores are like this as well for the most part. Yes, some of them can purchase from Amazon KDP, but a good majority of them, they have to purchase their books from other platforms like Barnes & Noble, like I mentioned earlier with Ingram Spark. But a lot of people have this misconception that because my book is on Amazon, that as a librarian, you should be able to purchase my book to put in the library. As a bookstore owner, you should be able to purchase my book to go into a bookstore. And it's not that simple. So this is a common misconception that I've been hearing a lot from my own experience publishing my book on Amazon KDP, from my experience as an author, going out to make my own network connections for my own book, but also as a librarian myself who is going through the same motions where I want to purchase books from local people in my community or things that I see on Amazon that I know are quality books from some self-published authors, but because of the vendors that I use in my library system that we are required to use, I can't always go through Amazon for those purchases. So it's important to know that Amazon is not always a guaranteed ticket to get your book into libraries and bookstores. As a whole, Amazon KDP is a great platform for you to use to distribute your book statewide, nationwide, and globally. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that there were some downsides with using it as well that we are a little bit more hesitant to talk about, or we don't fully explain to people as they're early on in the stage of figuring out where they want to publish their book, how and why. And so as you're considering Amazon KDP as a platform to publish your book, just know that there are some downsides to it, like the royalties factor, the hardcover factor, or the factor when it comes to getting your book into bookstores. Not to stop you, but to let you make informed decisions and have a deeper understanding of the publishing journey and the journey of your book to get it from your hands to the platform to your customer. If you're new to the publishing journey and would like more guidance, check out this video on my channel where I break down 5 publishing terms that you'll hear often, like ISBN, copyright, and so much more, so that way you can become a more informed self-publisher.